I'd like to call the Senate Committee on Rules to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I will begin with bills that are identical to Senate bills and then bills that are similar to Senate bills. And we will take the identical bills in a block. We have House Bill 1643 from Delegate Kilgore, which is identical to Senate Bill 1121 from Senator Hackworth. House Bill 1739 from Delegate Head, which is identical to Senate Bill 927 from Senator Favola. House Bill 2126 from Delegate Wilt, which is identical to Senate Bill 1178 from Senator Lewis. House Bill 2155 from Delegate Watts, which is identical to Senate Bill 1170 from Senator Hanger. House Bill 2255 from Delegate Hodges, which is identical to Senate Bill 1155 from Senator Mason. House Bill 2415 from Delegate Austin, which is identical to Senate Bill 1412 from Senator Normant. And House Bill 2438 from Delegate Campbell, which is identical to Senate Bill 797 from Senator Favola.
Madam Chair, did you include 2125 in that list?
21, which one? 21,
25 from Delegate Watts.
2155?
There were two.
I'm sorry, 2155. You only
Yes.
named one. There are two of them from Delegate Watts in there, 2155 and 2156.
I did not include 2156.
You did not.
You don't have that on the list, amigo. That's Amigo's fault. So 2156 is identical to which one?
Madam Chair, 2155 is identical to 1381 that I carried, and 2156 is identical to 1170 that Senator Hanger carried.
So 2156 is identical to 1170 from Senator Hanger.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we will add that to the list of identicals. Okay, so we have those 8 bills that are identical to Senate bills that passed the Senate unanimously. It's been moved and seconded that those bills be reported. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 13, no 0.
Ayes 13, no 0. Those bills are reported. We have a similar bill, House Bill 2296 from Delegate Hope, which is similar to Senate Bill 1350 from Senator Eben. And Council will address the amendments that will make these identical.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now that everyone knows my name, the amendment is on line 8.
I called you out.
There would be one amendment that would need to be placed on it. I think the same amendment was placed on Senator Eben's bill. The amendment would be at line 8. After finance, you would insert, comma, in consultation with stakeholders, including public and community health organizations, retailers, tobacco, and vaporized nicotine companies and wholesalers. There are a couple of other technical amendments. They're not substantive, but basically in the House bill, the House committees are listed first in terms of the reporting time, but in Senator Eben's bill, the Senate committee is listed first. So if it's the will of the committee, we can make those amendments too, and then they will be identical to Senator Eben's bill.
It's been moved and seconded that the amendments be adopted. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those amendments are adopted.
Move to report. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the bill be adopted. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. That bill is adopted. We will now move to our sign-up. Delegate Robinson.
Am I on? Okay. This is for House Bill 2182, and what the bill does is for the Behavioral Health Commission, under their powers and duties, we added a section for them to implement a process to solicit and receive input from individuals who are currently receiving or have received behavioral health services, or individuals with intellectual or developmental disabilities or autism disorders, or the family members of such individuals, to inform the work of the commission. Because public hearing, there were folks that just didn't feel like their voices were being heard enough, and so we felt like they could have a greater input by being more directed by the commission on what needed to be looked at and what groups, so they could look at those issues.
Are there any questions to the delegate?
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
Delegate Bell and I worked this out with Delegate Robinson on the other side, and we're appreciative of the cooperation. I'd move to report the bill.
Are there those in support or anyone in opposition? Okay, there's a motion to report.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 2182 be reported. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 14, 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. That bill is reported.
Thank you, committee.
Delegate Corner.
Good morning, Madam Chair. I have two bills before your committee. Do you have a preference as to which one I take up first? Okay, House Bill 1524.
$15.24.
Yes.
Okay.
So this bill started out identical with Senator Favola's. We ended up in different places coming out of both bodies, and I would like the bill in its form to be conformed to Senator Favola's so that we can continue working
Madam
on it.
Chair, can I make that
Senator
motion?
Eben.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Senate Bill 820, Madam
What's
Chair.
your number, Barbara?
Senate Bill 820. So I think Senator Eben made the motion to adopt the substitute, which would conform.
Okay, the motion is to conform HB 1524 to Senate Bill 820. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So we need a motion to report that.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the substitute be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 14, 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. That's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My second bill is House Bill 1368.
1368. Okay.
So this bill started off as a commission. The issue we were trying to address it is now just looking at a work group working with tax. But there were a lot of small business owners that were receiving opinion letters from tax in regards to their interpretation of laws that we've passed related to the tax code. And what we found was that taxpayers were having difficulty with those opinions because one would come out 1 year interpreting our code, and 5 years later a different opinion would come out with that code. And so what we'd like to do with this working group, and we did work with tax to talk about moving forward in the bill in its current fashion, is to provide for a work group to talk about policies as they're implemented based on code and how to better communicate those changes to the general public so that small business owners in particular are not hit with large tax bills because they fail to understand some of the changes between our laws and policies that are adopted by tax. We believe that this will create a better system for taxpayers in Virginia and allow us to see if there are legislative changes that need to be brought about for consistency.
Are there any questions to the delegate? Anyone here to speak in support or against House Bill 1368?
Move to report.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 1368 be reported. All those in favor vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. That bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Ransom?
She's across the hall.
I'm sorry. Delegate Orak?
Good morning, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 1504. Madam Chairman, members of the committee, is very straightforward. This is now a Section 1 bill asking JCOTS to look at the issue of unsolicited telephone calls and texts and see if there's some way we can create a means of opting out that really means something. Pretty straightforward, Madam Chairman. I think we all get those calls, and when we type in end or stop, we would hope it would really mean.
Any questions to the delegate? Anyone here in support or opposed? Okay. What's the motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded that HB 1504 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 15, no zero.
Ayes 15, no zero. That bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. Happy Friday.
Delegate Greenhall.
Madam Chairman, I see Delegate Hope there. Did we already take up his bill, or did he have another one? Oh,
His bill was in a block. Did you have another one, Delegate Hope? No, I'm just here to.
Bless your heart, bless your
He's just
heart.
hanging out.
Madam Chairman, that just proves senators are smarter because we wouldn't do that.
Yeah, we would not hang out.
You have no life.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am here for House Bill 2440. And first, I need to move the substitute, please.
Okay. We need a motion on the substitute. It's been moved and seconded that the substitute be adopted. All those in favor, please vote aye. Aye. Those opposed? We have the substitute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this bill will create the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Commission, which will work as an advisory commission in the executive branch, and the purpose will be to advise the board on the development and implementation of educational standards regarding Asian or Asian American and Pacific Islander contributions, culture, history, heritage, and language. So the AAPI community has a very large population in Virginia, and I happen to know quite a few of them are watching this live feed this morning. And in Virginia, we have many Filipino Americans with a large community in Virginia Beach that I know well through the Phil-Am CAG. And the VA just opened a center in Virginia Beach called the Jones Cabocoi Veterans Care Center. And the Cabocoi is Sergeant Cabocoi, who died serving in Afghanistan in Operation Enduring Freedom. So, and this week I also got to attend the AAPI's 12th Policy Summit held right here in Richmond that was attended by quite a few of our members and the governor. So many members of the AAPI community have chosen to make their homes here, raise their families in Virginia. They serve in the military. They own and work in our businesses, teach in our schools, and excel as students. They have chosen Virginia, and they've simply asked to be recognized. They have a wonderful story, and I think we have a lot to learn. I was asked to carry this bill by AAPI representatives. They worked directly with the administration to create this legislation, and the substitute is actually based on suggestions that were made to me by Delegates Tran and Shin. So this is truly a bipartisan effort to create a bill that passed unanimously through committees in the House, and I certainly hope that you will support this bill.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate. Senator
Peterson. Thank you, Delegate, for appearing and for putting this together. I have a large Asian community in my household, not to mention my community. But my question is, we have an Asian Advisory Commission currently. So how's this different from the current commission?
Well, this commission will work, will focus on the educational aspect, and actually the reason for the substitute was to increase the number of members so that we added the legislative appointees will be members of the Asian American and Pacific Islander culture, and the Virginia Asian Advisory Board will actually have a member on the board. The chair will be a non-voting member of this commission. And since they've worked with the Board of Education and the administration on this, obviously they think that there is a need for this focus.
Okay, sorry, and maybe I'm a little bit obtuse, but if we have an Asian advisory, and you said it's not a commission, it's a board right now, correct?
Yes, and this will simply be a commission to focus on the educational curriculum for the Asian American community. And the board has asked to have a member, the Virginia Asian, if you want to look on the substitute, it's actually on line 30. The chairperson of the Virginia Asian Advisory Board has asked to sit on this commission.
Yeah, and I apologize, as again, I understand there's a board existing, and I'm just kind of asking what this would do in addition to what the board does. And it sounds like what you're telling me is it would focus on educational delivery.
Yes. Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Senator Eben.
Thank you. For the delegate, I wanted to follow on what Senator Peterson was asking. Is there any reason we couldn't just expand the Virginia Asian Advisory Board's mission to accomplish similar tasks, since we have a board that presumably is
So thank you for the question. One reason I'm really excited about this commission is that it includes appointees from the General Assembly, but there are also many members from the citizens. So there will be 19 people on this board, and most of them will be citizens. And what we had, the way we wrote it, and again, this was a suggestion that came from the AAPI community, is that the members will have demonstrated either lived or professional experience in the Asian American and Pacific Islander culture, history, heritage, or language. So that it just gets input from the citizens rather than just the advisory board. And the fact that they're sitting on the board, I think, shows that they see a value in having this commission.
Madam
Senator
President,
Howell.
does any other ethnic group have two commissions?
So, well, the focus of these is totally different. So I can't answer that question. I haven't looked at every advisory board and commission. But since this was worked with the administration, with the Board of Education, and with the AAPI community, that's the reason I feel that there's value for this.
Senator Howell.
But what was left out is the Senate, and that's where you are now. Right.
Are there those here in support of this legislation? Anyone here in opposition?
Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
what sort of fiscal impact is the creation of a new advisory committee with new per diems that have to be paid? What sort of fiscal impact does it have?
So with the fiscal impact, it's estimated $18,000.
Okay, additional questions? Is there a motion?
Report.
There's a motion and a second to report. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 7, noes 9.
Ayes are 7, noes are 9. The bill does not report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you. Delegate Scott.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I stopped by many of your offices about a week and a half ago to discuss this bill. In current code, there is language that for all executive boards and commissions created after January of 2003 to have a 3-year sunset clause. What this bill does is it takes that language, duplicates it for legislative branch boards and commissions for anything created after January of 2024 to have a 3-year sunset clause. And then there's also a cleanup portion of the piece of legislation to look at all boards and commissions that have been created over the years. We've identified at least 20 boards and commissions that were created after 2003 under the executive branch that did not have a 3-year sunset clause. And while the committee just did not report the previous bill, that one actually was under the executive branch and had a 4-year sunset clause. There was a few others that did not make it out of the Rules Committee on the House that had a variety of either 4 or 5 or no sunset clauses that were under the executive branch. So this piece of legislation is often overlooked and not caught. And so I would ask that it be the will of the committee to recommend reporting this wonderful piece of legislation.
Are there any questions to the delegate?
I've got a question.
Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair, how are people, or how are these commissions going to retain good staff if the staff has a feeling that the commission could expire within 3 years?
Great question. Okay, so a lot of current boards and commissions were actually created before 2003. This would not impact them. Anything that was created after 2003 for executive branch, we would be looking at those, reevaluating whether or not they're doing what they're doing or whether or not they're duplicating work, right? The question of this committee for the previous bill was, like, hey, we have this one board over here, we're creating this other commission over here. Are they doing the same thing, or could we incorporate that? And so this would give the legislative body an opportunity to assess what that board or commission is doing, whether or not it's really sufficient on the Disability Commission, and then there's also the Rare Disease Council, and they do very different things, and so it would be an opportunity for the legislative body to say, yes, these are doing different things, and we need to keep them moving forward. It would be an opportunity for that board or commission to really excel at what they're doing, and then we would come back and remove that sunset clause, and that would be a one-and-done thing.
Well, Madam Chair,
Senator Deeds.
Doesn't the legislative branch have that opportunity every year to reconsider the work of any group that they've established?
Madam Chair, I would answer the senator is yes, we do. But again, we've identified 20 pieces of legislation that were enacted after 2003 that did not follow Virginia code. And I think it's appropriate that we hold ourselves to the letter of the law. And so if the law says that any executive branch, board, or commission created after 2003 shall have a 3-year sunset clause, we have an obligation to the citizens of Virginia to make sure that we're following that law.
Well, Madam Chair, what are those 20 groups, 20 pieces of legislation? Are they listed in the code section that you've drafted or in the bill you've drafted?
All right. Madam Chair, the Secure and Resilient Commonwealth Panel, Latino Advisory Board, the Virginia African American Advisory Board, Office of New Americans Advisory Board, Virginia LGBTQ Advisory Board, Modeling and Simulation Advisory Council, Information Technology Advisory Council, Virginia Council on Environmental Justice, Advisory Committee on Sexual and Domestic Violence, Scientific Advisory Committee, Virginia STEM Education Advisory Board, Virginia Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board, Clean Energy Advisory Board, State Advisory Board for the Virginia Industries for the Blind, Public Guardian and Conservator Advisory Board, Employment Service Organization Steering Committee, Boxing, Martial Arts and Professional Wrestling Advisory Board on Genetic Counseling.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair. Yeah.
Senator Favola.
I was just going to say, I mean, some of our commissions actually hire professional staff, and having this sunset would be extraordinarily difficult to get the best staff, to retain them, and to also do some planning. Many of our commissions do long-term studies. I don't see any use in this. I mean, I don't understand what problem we're trying to solve.
Madam Chair, again, the problem was discovered that there is current Virginia law that requires this for all executive branch boards and commissions, and that frequently gets overlooked. So there are pieces of legislation that get passed by the General Assembly that break the law, and that's not a good look for the General Assembly. Additionally, delegates get hired for 2 years. We hire great staff, and they get brought on knowing that they could potentially only have 2 years at a time for any position that we bring them on. And I would say that my legislative aide is phenomenal and probably one of the best. A little biased, but I think my legislative aide does great. And he signs on for a 2-year contract every 2 years. And so I do not see that being a hindrance, because if you work well, you do what's expected of you, you exceed, and you provide the product that's expected, then there will be a reason to retain.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Senator Norman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. A question to the patron. Should we, or what is the detriment to limiting this to executive commissions?
I saw the language for the executive, Madam Chair, I saw the language for the executive commissions, boards and commissions, and I thought that it was appropriate to apply that to the legislative body. We have a turnover every 2 years, and I think it's a very good thing to allow that to be reassessed by the incoming body if something was created by the previous body.
Madam Chairman, follow-up.
Senator Norman.
Would you be more receptive to limiting to executive commissions if, in fact, there was not enormous affection for your bill as it currently appears?
So, Madam Chair, is the senator asking just to strike out the part that deals with the legislative branch and keeping in the cleanup portion?
Madam Chairman, I am not asking anything. I'm just having a colloquy with you.
I am willing to work with this committee to do whatever possible to move this forward and to make sure that we are abiding by Virginia law.
I heard someone else down here.
I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question. Yeah.
Senator Edwards.
Yeah. Since all these commissions and boards and so forth are all very different, isn't this the very definition of arbitrariness? They're different, and some last longer than others.
Madam Chair, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, that's fine. Arbitrariness is a word.
I understand the word. I'm just not understanding where the senator's trying to get at.
Yeah, it's all different. Why are you arbitrarily coming up with this cutoff date? I don't understand it. They're making sense to me.
Madam Chair, I have a motion.
Senator Favola.
I'm going to move that we PBI the bill.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 1869 be passed by indefinitely. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I'll make sure.
Ayes 12, noes 4.
Ayes 12, noes 4. That bill is passed by indefinitely.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll make sure I find another way to hold us accountable.
Delegate Ransom.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I have House Bill 2266.
Okay, House Bill 2266.
Yes, ma'am. House Bill 2266 requires the State Board of Elections to set guidelines for registrars to have the absentee ballots by precincts results counted and uploaded on the state website within 7 days.
Okay, any questions to the delegate?
Madam Chair? Yes.
Senator Eben.
Why are we doing this? We already require that the results be reported, the absentee votes be reported separately, but you want now the ones that are cast in person versus mail to be revealed differently?
So these are the central absentee ballots. So we want them separated out, but they are done. What you have are the results of the absentee cast in person are done separately, but they're done as swiftly as possible. So what this is asking is that within 7 days they're put up by precinct.
Madam Chair, if I could ask, I'm not sure I
Senator
understand the
Eben.
problem. Can you explain the problem now that with the way that we're doing this?
Sure. So my original bill had it so that they were putting the absentee ballots up by precinct by Wednesday. The registrars suggested they could not get that done in time. And currently, what they're doing is trying to get everything up within 10 days. What this bill will do is have it done by precinct within 7 days. And typically, you'll have some of the ballots are not coming in until that Friday, and we're giving them until, I guess it would be that Tuesday to get everything done by precinct.
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
Madam Chair.
No, who's that? Senator Sproul.
Thank you. Madam Chair, to Commissioner, I heard what she was saying. I had a bill to go before the House this week that would extend it from 6 days to 10 days because the registrar says is that during election time come that the 6 day time always fall during Veterans Day. And they asked to extend the time from 6 days to 10 days to give them extra time to do exactly some of the things you were talking about doing. They didn't give me the time of the day. They kill a bill on the spot. So I agree with what you were saying, but I'm saying some of the same things that you're talking about. This exact bill, they needed more time. I asked to extend it. That's 4 more days, the exact same thing. And on the House side, they killed my bill.
Madam Chair, I'm not familiar with which bill about reporting or, I mean, I don't know what the bill was regarding putting up the reports.
Additional questions or comments?
Madam Chairman.
Senator McDougall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, it seems pretty reasonable to have the results from election posted for the public to be able to see them within 7 days of the election. And so as a result, I move to report.
Are there those in the audience in support of the legislation?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, David Bailey, on behalf of the Voter Registrars Association of Virginia, we did support that good bill that Senator Sproul had and wished it had passed as it related to another section of the code. I know in 2021 and in 2022, you and your counterparts in the other chamber worked on trying to solve this so people would know the votes by precinct. The registrars see this as the final action, hopefully, that will get this fixed so that it will be done uniformly. Some of you may be in jurisdictions where that happens very quickly. There are not that many central absentee precinct votes. Others of you are in areas where it does not happen as quickly. This would set up a process by the Department of Elections to work with the registrar so it would be uniform. And they want to do this for the public and for you and to make it available to everyone. So we hope you would support this good bill. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Senator Deeds.
If I could ask a question. Mr. Bailey, I've got a note in here from Allison Robbins, who's a legislative chair of the Registrars Association. It's dated February 16th, and she says that there are proposed amendments that, and with those proposed amendments, the Registrars Association supports this bill. What are the amendments that were made to the bill?
In committee, they were all made over in the House committee. Delegate Ranson's initial bill was a little different from this. She and Delegate Van Valkenburg worked clearly across party lines and worked together very collaboratively. Senator Deeds, I apologize that I don't recall what the original bill was, but this bill was a result of a collaborative effort, and that's how it passed out of committee unanimously and out of the House unanimously.
Madam Chair, Senator Deeds, I can explain. I had requested the registrars have the absentee by precinct up on Wednesday, and the registrar said there's no possible way that we can do that. You need to give us 7 days.
The original bill would have required reporting the day after the election.
Yes.
And so this is 7 days, and the current practice is 10 days. Is that correct, or Senator Sproul's bill?
Well, Madam Chair, Senator Deeds, Senator Spruill's good bill was relating to abstracts being reported to the Department of Elections, so that was a different matter. It was a good bill, as Senator Spruill knows. This one relates to the central absentee.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Senator Spruill.
Question to Mr. Bailey, please.
Senator Spruill.
Question. So the bill that I had to allow them, isn't it pretty much on the same line to give the state, the register, more time to get the work done because they were rushing doing, pretty much?
Madam Chair, Senator Spruill, it was a good bill, and we would hope that it would be passed in some future time, too, that would give the abstracts that are sent to the Department of Elections to give more time on that. More time is needed on that. Even Senator Spruill and members of the committee, as more time is needed to make sure this is done, and to try to make it uniform. So whatever is happening in counties with small numbers of central absentee, that the same thing is happening in Fairfax and Virginia Beach and other jurisdictions.
Okay, anyone here in opposition? Okay, we have House Bill 2266.
Move to report.
Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 2266 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Lemon Lewis?
He left the room.
Okay.
Ayes 15, no 0.
Ayes 15, no 0. That bill is reported. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
See how nice we are, Senator?
Delegate Seabold.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. This bill, HB 2492, makes two adjustments to the Virginia Board for People with Disabilities. First, it updates outdated terminology, specifically changing mentally impairing developmental disability with the more appropriate and widely used term cognitive developmental disability. Second, and crucially, this bill adds a representative from the Virginia Department of Health to bring the Virginia Board for People with Disabilities into compliance with the membership requirements of the Federal Developmental Disability Act. It is vital for the board to comply with this requirement so that they can continue to receive their $1.7 million in federal funds, which they need for their operations and which comprise 89% of their budget. Without those funds, the state would be responsible for covering the difference. Madam Chair, members of the committee, I ask that you please vote yes to this bill to lock in critical federal funds for the Virginia Board for People with Disabilities. Thank you.
Are there any questions to the delegate?
Madam Chair,
Senator Peterson.
I'll make a motion.
What might that be?
I move that we report the bill. There we go.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 2492 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Madam Chair?
Ayes 16, no 0.
I'm just trying to get to know her name. I'm trying to learn these new faces. What's your name?
My name is Holly Siebold.
Thank you so much.
Ayes 16, no 0. That bill is reported.
I don't know these
Thank
people.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Tater.
Yeah.
Madam Chairman, I'm here with Delegate Tata because this is a bill.
Does she need some backup?
She was very gracious in giving me an opportunity to clarify some issues that came up when this bill was first presented on this side and did not survive. And with that is the handout where you can see the definition on this version. It shows at the top of the back page, it makes it very clear that statements against Israel are not considered anti-Semitism. And you did not have the advantage of this language when I spoke to the bill before. And there were a lot of people who spoke against the bill, implying that recognizing this definition might somehow endorse prevention or suppression of speech
Madam
against
Chair.
Israel.
Senator
Let me just, and I appreciate Senator Donovan, as always. Let me just cut to the chase. I think what a lot of us had a problem with was taking what was in effect a definitional issue and putting it in the code.
Correct.
That we're not going to do.
Right.
That's a non-starter. So this is a Section 1 bill, so I guess let's just start with that.
It is. It's a Section 1 bill, which is why it's before this committee.
Okay.
And then I will let Delegate Tata speak. I will tell you the one follow-up other piece of information is there are about 200,000 Jews in Virginia today. We had a conversation about it seeming like there was a disparity or maybe a conflict. And really, the membership organizations that you see on the back of the second handout represent about 88% of the Jews in Virginia. About 175,000, and there is consensus on this definition. And I wanted to have the opportunity to make those 2 points, and then while you handed out those handouts.
Question.
Delegate.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. So HB 1606 is a bill that affirms the working definition of anti-Semitism adopted by the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, known as IRA, and it is to be used exclusively as a tool and a guide for training and education to help recognize and combat anti-Semitism and discrimination for tracking and reporting anti-Semitic incidents in the Commonwealth. The IRA definition, commonly referred to as the gold standard, has become the international comprehensive definition used to combat anti-Semitism against the Jewish people worldwide. The IRA definition includes 11 examples, and they're on the sheets that I provided. And I do want to note, as Senator Donovan said, that the criticism of Israel is not prohibited by this definition. This bill does not limit free speech, and it does not criminalize it. In fact, the bill before you was amended on the House floor by Delegate Marcus Simon to clarify that the IRA definition is not legally binding. And as I mentioned, it is to be used exclusively as a tool and guide for education. And also, Delegate Fillercorn is co-patron on this bill. It simply adopts the global standard, and to date, over 1,000 entities all over the world have adopted this definition, including 39 countries, over 400 state, provincial, municipal governments, and over 300 educational institutions, nearly 30 states and Washington, D.C. It was adopted in our country by Obama and Biden-Harris administrations. And why is this important to the Commonwealth? As she mentioned, Virginia is the home for over 180,000 Jewish Virginians and has one of the fastest growing Jewish populations in the U.S. And unfortunately, there has been an acceleration of anti-Semitic actions and events. You can see on that list that there are the list of organizations that have signed on, and I believe there are people here that are in support of this bill. Thank you.
Any questions to the delegate?
Madam Chairman, I move to report.
Those who are in support, please stand. Just stand. We're not going to have speakers. Anyone in opposition? Thank you. There was a motion to report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 1606 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 1600.
Ayes 1600, that bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam.
Senator Obenshain.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you very much for hearing this. This is Senate Joint Resolution 337, merely to commemorate the occasion of the 100th, what would have been the 100th birthday of Earl Hamner. beloved American and Virginia author of Spencer's Mountain and creator of the Waltons. Madam Chair, this would designate July 10, 2023 as Earl Hamner Day, and each year thereafter, which is the date of his birth, or the 100th anniversary
Madam
of
Chair?
the date of his birth.
Senator Eben?
Can I move that we pass the resolution?
Second. Moved and seconded that we adopt Senate Joint Resolution 337. All in favor, please vote aye. Please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Rome? Delegate Reed?
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Before you is House Bill 1759. This is a Section 1 bill that would direct the Commissioner of Veteran Services to create a work group to establish a strategic plan about how Virginia would become the best state for veterans, and then also to identify metrics to be able to measure our success. Every year we come down here, and regardless of party, we say we want to be the best state for veterans. And then just this year, as an example, we have 51 pieces of legislation that we all introduced, but we really can't quantify how many of those bills that if we do and we pass are going to move the needle to help us be the best state for veterans. There are some industry standards that are out there. One says that we're number 1, and if that's the case, good for us. Another one says we're number 3. Another one says we're number 8. And another one says we're number 10. So now, as we all know, oftentimes we as politicians will pick whichever particular grading scale we want to use to be able to fit our narrative. What I want us to be able to do is to create our own grading scale, our own set of metrics, and our own strategic plan that will define and map what legislation we're doing that is actually going to make us the best state for veterans. And, Madam Chair, that's the legislation, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for the delegate? Anyone here in support of this legislation or in opposition?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 1759 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
16, no, 0.
Aye 16, no 0. That bill is reported.
Madam Chair, Senators, thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Adams?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, the bill I have before you is House Bill 2008, and it would direct the Virginia Department of Health to convene a work group to address the rising concern of tick-borne illnesses in the Commonwealth. This is something that was introduced after hearing multiple discussions about this problem from, both you hear it sort of anecdotally from people that seem to have problems with the food they can eat based on a tick bite, but you also had a recommendation from a Farm Bureau meeting about the agricultural concerns that are caused by this. And in my discussions with the Department of Health, it's my understanding that last time the Commonwealth really addressed this issue was when Lyme disease was first brought to the Commonwealth, and I think it was under the McDonnell administration that a task force was assigned and strategies for addressing Lyme disease in particular was addressed. That those numbers have been, those incidences that have been reported, that the numbers have sort of leveled off, and now we're seeing these other syndromes such as alpha-gal that aren't really, there's not a systematic way to approach it. And so my hope is that with a work group like this, with this direction, that we could come back with some recommendations and strategies for dealing with this as a public health concern. I believe there are several different folks who are in favor of this from different industries, including farmers, forest products producers, and just different individuals. Once we introduced the bill, we had some professors at some of our Virginia universities reach out to us about this and express their support for this type of action and attention to this rising problem.
Questions to the delegate? Those in support or opposition? Quickly state your support.
Madam Chair, Corey Connors of the Virginia Forestry Association. As our folks are uniquely impacted by this, we support the bill.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Caitlin Jordan on behalf of the Virginia Farm Bureau. We thank the patron for his leadership on this measure and we support the bill.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready to. Okay. I move that we report this bill.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 2008 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no. Lucas.
16, no, 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. That bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, thank you.
Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the members of the committee here. So this is HB 2380. So this complements an existing program from the Department of Social Services in which food banks in Virginia can enter into a contract with the department. And once that relationship is established, DSS provides a formal training process to food bank employees and volunteers. So what this does is, it's 2 sentences long, so I'll just read it to you. It's that the Department of Social Services shall provide information, resources, and education to all food banks located within the Commonwealth regarding outreach opportunities for providing assistance to individuals completing a SNAP application. Such information, resources, and education shall include information regarding the process for organizations to enter into a contract with the department to provide assistance with completing a SNAP application. And I'll note that Nikki Kelly from DSS is here right now as well. She can answer any questions.
Are there any questions to the delegate on this bill?
Madam Chair.
Senator Favola.
Well, I was going to move to report as well. I think Delegate Rome had a similar bill before rehab, except she was closing the gap in the school system. So I think her goal is to try to close as many gaps as possible so people can understand SNAP and figure out if they're eligible. So with that being said, I move that we report the bill.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 2380 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 16, no, 0.
Ayes 16, no 0. That bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Delegate Guzman. Delegate Hodges. Delegate Guzman, I just called you.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Do we want to start with 2146?
Whichever one you want.
Oh, House Bill 2146.
Okay.
Okay, Madam Chairman, members of the committee, Virginia currently does not have clinical social work license reciprocity with any state, so without any form of reciprocity for social workers. So it can take professionals months to obtain a new license after paying fees and doing it through endorsement. So what this bill does is direct the Virginia Board of Social Work to convene a work group to examine the feasibility of licensure by reciprocity with other jurisdictions, with other states. And the bill will also require to examine the effectiveness of the board's current licensure by reciprocity provisions and examine the possibility of joining the social work compact when the compact becomes operational. Right now, this year, I believe we all voted for to join the compact for counselors. So right now, the social work compact is being drafted. But by working the feasibility now, once this becomes ready, Virginia will be ready to join that compact. Also, Madam Chair, we can compete with Maryland and Washington, D.C., so part of the work group is also to see the reciprocity that we could bring people from adjacent states like North Carolina, South Carolina, so they could come and practice here when they are mental health practitioners. And
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Senator Spruill.
The bill passed the House unanimously. I move the report.
Madam Chairman, I did have a
Senator
question.
McDougal.
Is this license a DPOR license, or is it a separate license? Because we also passed legislation that said if you're in another state and you meet qualifications, then you could, in essence, waive in while the process so you wouldn't lose it. But we did put some protections in. If you had a complaint filed in the other state, then you couldn't do it. And I just want to make sure we're not having two separate policies. I just don't know. Is it?
Madam Chair, what I say, Senator McDougal, is that that law, what it states right now, is licensure by endorsement, which is different than reciprocity. With reciprocity means that if you have, and this is a study, it's a Section 1 bill, so we're going to just look at the possibilities of how can we have a smoother process. And what Senator McDougal is referring is that when you are applying for licensure by endorsement, they will look at your criminal record. They will look at the amount of credit hours that you have in other state before you come and join Virginia.
This is to establish a work group to examine the process.
Yes, the possibility. Yes,
Right.
yes, ma'am.
Move the report again.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 2146 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Aye 16, no zero. That bill's reported. Your next bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next bill is House Bill 2147, which is also a Section 1 bill. What the bill does is requires the Board of Pharmacy to study the possibility to provide translations of prescriptions. This is a health safety bill. What we want right now, I represent a locality, Madam Chair, members of the committee, where the largest minority are Spanish speaking. However, when my constituents go to the pharmacy, we don't have a sign where it says that they speak Spanish or they speak other languages, that there's the possibility to translate those prescriptions into the language that they prefer. So what this Section 1 bill does is to work the Board of Pharmacy could study also the feasibility to provide translation of multiple languages on prescriptions. Because if Virginians who speak a different language cannot understand the instructions of the medicine that they are taking, this could actually be a risk for their health.
Any questions to the delegate? Anyone here in support or opposition?
Move the report.
Second.
Moved and seconded that House Bill 2147 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Okay, your next bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 2153 is right now, a couple of years ago, during the 2021 legislature, we passed a bill that will provide preference hiring process with people with disabilities when they apply for state employment. What these individuals have to do is to apply to have a certificate that would allow them to get through the alternative hiring process. However, what we didn't think about at the time was people with disabilities that were already employed by the state. And when they apply to that promotion, how to get access to this certificate so they can get the preferred hiring when they apply. So what this bill does is amend the legislation that we passed during the 2021 session to allow this opportunity so current state employees could also get this certificate and get that alternative hiring process so they can have a promotion.
Any questions? Anyone here support?
I move that we report the bill, Madam Chair.
Moved and seconded that House Bill 2153 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Ayes 16, no zero.
Aye 16, no zero. That bill's reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Thank you. Delegate Hodges. Delegate Bloxham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1950. It started out as a bill to give VMRC some flexibility when issuing salt marsh wetlands credits, but it had words that included things like restore, remake, enhance. There was no consensus from the environmental community, so we decided that we needed to have a Section 1 bill that directed them to update the mitigation bank guidelines. Has not been looked at since 1998. So in order to try to make a robust wetlands trading bank, we need to bring it up to speed. And that's really what all it does, Madam.
Any questions to the delegate?
No, Madam Chair,
Senator Favola.
no question, but I am ready to make a motion if you're ready.
We're ready.
Okay, I move that we report the bill.
Second. Moved and seconded that House Bill 1950 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
16, no, 0.
Aye, 16, no, 0. That bill's reported. Delegate Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, House Bill 1536 does exactly what it says.
We don't know what it says.
And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to enlighten you. It strengthens the language. It directs the Human Resource Management to update the grievance procedure manual to require the Office of Equal Employment and Dispute Resolution to review and issue a written decision when a party is non-compliant with any requirements of the grievance manual. Now, Madam Chair, this bill came about from employees in the correctional system. When there is a charge against an employee and they request the documentations, the evidence against them, according to the grievance manual, they're supposed to get that information within 5 days. If it can't be provided within 5 days, they're supposed to be given written information explaining why it's not given within 5 days, and then given in 10 days. That's not happening. That has not been happening. Employees have been getting the evidence on the day of their trial or the night before their trial. So this language right here strengthens that, so that it tells them when parties are not in compliance, the grievance, the Equal Employment and Dispute Resolution shall issue a decision against a non-compliant person.
Any questions to the delegate?
Move the report.
Moved and seconded that House Bill 1536 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
16, no, 0.
Aye, 16, no, 0. That bill is reported.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee.
Delegate Durant.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. House Bill 2476 is a bill that directs the Secretary of Health and Human Resources and State Health Commissioner to establish and maintain and update on an annual basis a website which shall be available in English and Spanish that's easy accessible. All public and private agencies, adoption, faith-based, all services available to assist a woman throughout her pregnancy and upon childbirth and while the child is dependent. Madam Chair, no one in Virginia should ever feel that they're alone when they're going through, and that has one purpose: to expand the awareness to the public on a variety of the programs and services available throughout the Commonwealth, so they know which door to knock on. Most importantly, it allows access to information to the over 40 different resources centers and information that goes beyond pregnancy into the birth of the child. This bill will ensure that going forth, the Commonwealth of Virginia will make the public more aware of the help fellow Virginians are offering, and we need to make it more easy to make sure that they are able to access it when they're seeking information for a variety of resources, including housing, medical, child support, et cetera. So happy to ask any questions.
Are there any questions to the delegate? This information isn't available already?
Madam Chair, I believe Department of Health does have different resources available, but this would require them that they would update it annually and make sure that there's everything that is available to a woman, starting if she's choosing to have a pregnancy, everything that she could possibly need. With housing, if she needs to seek support, legal support, if she needs to, food, anything that she could possibly need, including when there's dependency. So this would ensure that everything that we have available, they know which door to knock on. It would be updated annually and available in both English and Spanish.
Madam Chair?
Senator Eben.
So I would ask the delegate, does this mean that you're going to have neutrally available information on, like, getting, for those women who choose to exercise the right to have an abortion? Would that be listed?
Madam Chair, this bill would seek, it really addresses women who are seeking, who've chosen to have their pregnancy. So this is focused on, okay, they've said, I'm having this baby, now I need resources. If they need housing, if they are in need of any type of medical support, this is once they've made that decision. So we're moving forward from that point on, they've made it.
So, Madam Chair,
Senator Eben.
If a woman has not made a decision as to whether or not to have a child, would this be of any use at all?
Madam Chair, I think there's other resources that we have in the Commonwealth that directs women if they need access for any type of health choices. This is directed specifically for women who are looking for beyond that once they've made that decision. So if they are in need of anything, this is where they can go and they know which door to knock on.
Senator Favola.
I mean, most of the services that are sort of wraparound services, counseling support, housing, transportation, all of those are provided at the local level. So it would really be a locality that would provide those kinds of services. I just don't see the state having the wherewithal or the know-how to really provide the kind of information that a woman may be looking for or would be helpful. Because the services are just provided in her community. So I want to make that statement.
Madam Chair, I appreciate the senators. The local resources, certainly there is a great effort. I think what we're seeking to do is to make sure that any Virginia, they never feel that they're alone. If there's any question that there may be a local resource is not available, and perhaps there's another part of the state where it would be more appropriate for a mother who's seeking to maybe need housing or another part of it, that they know exactly where they can access it. So this is just moving on from that decision point on. And it wraps around everything. And we were talking legal support. If they need to seek child support, if they need any type of food, any type of medical support once they have made that decision of moving on. So this is, statewide available services.
Those in support or opposition? 3 minutes each side.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Carla King. I'm a board-certified pediatrician and medical director from the Pregnancy Help Center in Chesterfield County. We provide free services to women who are pregnant all the way up into after they've had their child. We provide free information, free services to anyone who is pregnant, who needs it. And there are many women that don't know how to access, don't know how to find resources, and sometimes they just need a helping hand through it, which is what we provide.
Good morning. I'm Michelle Johnson. I'm the nurse manager at the Pregnancy Help Center of Chesterfield. And I would just like to say that we do see women often who have no idea how to access these resources. We're able to point them to those resources, things such as pro bono counseling, counseling on a sliding scale, and where they can find housing, how to sign up for Medicaid. These things seem second nature to a lot of us, but we see countless women who come in, and maybe if they have older children and they're pregnant, and they're saying, I wish I had had access to this with my other children. And we're able to provide them with diapers, clothes, and all the things that they're going to need to be successful and carry on throughout their pregnancy and up to the first 2 years of their child's life. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Senators, I'm Olivia Turner. I'm president of the Virginia Society of Human Life. We support Delegate Durant's bill. I also am on the board of managers of a project we started before COVID called Plan for Her Virginia. We now have over 268 various programs and agencies. And Senator Favolo, to your comment that it's locally provided, I think the point just made was excellent, that there are circumstances, the delegate said, where someone is not safe in their own community and needs to be able to move to another community. A website like this allows those women who are looking for information like what we've created through the Plan for Her network to be available to any woman of any background, of any circumstance, at any time. So this is a positive step. It doesn't prevent her. And to Senator Evans' question, information about how to proceed to terminate a pregnancy, to have an abortion, that's already on our Virginia website. This information, the extraordinary network that's being created, is not anywhere on the Department of Health, to the extent that these private and public state-funded organizations have been coordinating in the last 4 years since pre-COVID to establish. Now we need to make it easier for women like myself who are looking for help, particularly underserved populations in Virginia, to find that help. So thank you very much.
Susan Musket with Pro Family Women. We support the bill because it would establish a one-stop shop website to help expectant mothers find services they need.
Terrence Mitchell, Virginia Catholic Conference. We support the bill.
Jennifer McDonald with the Virginia Department of Health, and the administration supports the bill.
In opposition.
These are opposition?
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Jamie Lockhart, Executive Director of Planned Parenthood Advocates of Virginia, we oppose this legislation because it would put anti-abortion crisis pregnancy centers on a state website. These centers are not licensed medical centers in many cases. They often shame women away from and pregnant people away from seeking a full range of health care. And there's been some really horrifying stories about how they've provided inaccurate care to people. So don't think that the state the Commonwealth should put this network of crisis pregnancy centers on a state website, and ask you to oppose. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is LaTwyla Mathias, and I'm the Executive Director of Progress Virginia. For the reasons previously stated, we also oppose the bill. Thank you.
Good morning. Hannah Servideo on behalf of Reaper Rising Virginia. We are also in opposition to this legislation. There's been a few pieces of testimony in support of HB 2476 that have used the words all-encompassing and choices, stating that folks that have the ability to get pregnant deserve all the information. And that's true, but that's not this bill. We would be open to supporting legislation that intends to meet the need of providing resources in the future, as long as abortion and contraceptive providers are comprehensively included in any resource that attempts to present the inclusive range of reproductive options that a person could make, and that organizations like crisis pregnancy centers or fake clinics that often lack medical licenses, lie, pressure, and push time-sensitive information out of the reach of community members are not uplifted as legitimate places to seek care. These fake clinics are known for biased and coercive counseling and for preying on vulnerable communities. That is not a compassionate resource. We hope that you'll vote no on HB 2476. Thanks.
Thank you. Delegate.
Madam Chair, thank you. To touch on some of the statements we were made, we do have information, as Senator Evan noted, if they are looking for other resources to make it different at some juncture. Again, this focuses on once that decision has been made, where can we go from here? And we should not be excluding any resources in the Commonwealth that are providing valuable resources to women in terms of being able to access where they can get housing, particularly counseling if they need to access legal services. That we should not be shutting the doors on those sources that are providing very valuable support to women once they've made that decision. So open as will of the body.
Thank you. We have HB 2476.
Move, Madam Chair. Move to pass by indefinitely.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 2476 be passed by indefinitely. Those in favor of that motion, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the committee.
Ayes 12, noes 3.
Ayes 12, noes 3. That bill is passed by indefinitely. Delegate Sickles.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I have before you today HB 2175, which comes at the request of the Virginia Fire Chiefs Association. It's another Section 1 bill. It establishes a work group within the Public Safety Secretariat to conduct a needs assessment for fire and EMS agencies across the Commonwealth. In previous years, there was an annual survey done, but there hasn't been one since 2017. As you may know, there is no state funding except for a couple of pass-through funding streams that are available to EMS and fire. One is a 1% assessment on fire insurance, and another one is a $6.25 charge on each vehicle registered in Virginia, which goes to EMS agencies through the Rescue Squad Assistance Fund. So, as you know, and probably have heard from your agencies, the last few years have been tough for them, and there's new demands on training and services that put a stress on the delivery of fire and EMS services. The bill does authorize the Secretary to procure a outside consultant to do this assessment, and it is in our budget, Madam Chair. I could go on. I have more, but I
don't.
Okay. Yeah, I have.
Okay. Any questions to Delegate Sickles? It's been moved and seconded that House Bill 2175 be reported. All those in favor, please vote aye. Those opposed, no.
Madam Chair, you have spared me 50 minutes of caucus, and for that I will be forever grateful.
Ayes 15, no 0. That bill is reported. We have one item remaining, and that is SJ 336, which is my resolution.
Move to report.
Wow, I didn't even have to do anything. And this establishes a commission for the continuing preservation and development of the Virginia Women's Monument. All those in favor, please vote aye. Say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. And so that is reported, and that completes our docket.
And continuing development, Madam Chair, I'm assuming that you would, Senator Locke, consider